important piece of island history is for sale. That was the opening line of a June 3, 2010 article about a 4.5-acre property in Vineyard Haven that had many thinking about the future of what was known as the St. Pierre property. The site was home to a 13,000 square foot former U.S. Marine Hospital built in 1895 and had been for many years the site of a summer camp for children on Martha's Vineyard until it closed in 2008. At the same time, the Martha's Vineyard Museum was actively searching for a new island home. Founded in 1922 as the Dukes County Historical Society, it had outgrown its campus in Edgartown, unable to expand museum programming and having trouble protecting its growing collection of island art and artifacts in small, non-purpose-built facilities. The museum had explored a few options, but no site held potential quite like the St. Pierre property. Its history, discovered later on to date back over 5,000 years to early Wampanoag settlements, aligned perfectly with the museum's mission to inspire people to discover, explore, and strengthen their connection to this island and its diverse heritage. After a 2-month due diligence period, which included a feasibility study to test fit the museum's needs with the property, thus began 9 years of planned development and construction, involving countless stakeholders and partners, all of whom helped breathe new life into a building worth saving and showcasing. Work on the former Marine Hospital included restoration of roofing material to original wood cedar, reconstruction of missing elements on the original chimneys that had been removed over the years, including decorative corbelling, recreation of the central porch to match the original 1895 design. The original staircase between the first and second floors was restored. 2 new building additions were made and are positioned and scaled to be deferential to the 1895 building and out of the primary view shed from the harbor and town. They also preserved the original building's embodied energy as a prime teaching topic for an institution centered on education. Museum leadership had a vision for creating a cultural hub for Martha's Vineyard. In addition to offering beautiful exhibition galleries, the museum is a community center for the island. Over 3,500 island school children visited the museum last year on a curriculum-based field trip. Community organizations are also able to use the museum's meeting spaces. The expanded space and opportunities the campus and building provide allow the museum to collaborate with a variety of non-traditional partners. The museum has also developed a much stronger relationship with the Wampanoag tribe of Gayhead during archaeological investigations of the site. The completed campus design showcases the museum's efforts to identify, protect, and interpret a site that connects present-day community members and visitors to thousands of years of occupation. The Martha's Vineyard Museum has now become the steward of this important place that has drawn people for thousands of years and can help carry the site's long history forward. Preservation Massachusetts is proud to recognize the Martha's Vineyard Museum with a 2020 Robert H. Kuehn Award.
Hello, and on behalf of the Martha's Vineyard Museum, I want to thank you for this prestigious award. It's only fitting to receive recognition in Robert H. Kuehn Jr.'s name. He was a summer resident here on the island, and he loved fishing our shores and giving back to the community. Sadly, 5 years before we purchased this building, Bob passed away. But we sincerely hope that he'd be proud of our efforts to restore this building and bring it back to life. This project could not have come to fruition without the help of many. First, to the team at Udenzello Architecture, led by Conrad Ello, who embarked on this almost decade-long journey at the start and led us the entire way. Your dedication and leadership is deeply appreciated. To the museum's board and staff, who worked tirelessly hosting community forums, raising funds, and championing a vision for a beautifully restored building and the perfect new home for this almost century-old institution, thank you. To the project team who dotted every I and crossed every T along the way, No matter what obstacles were put in your way, you persevered, and tens of thousands of people benefit from your hard work. Finally, to everyone who believed that a rundown building that once served as a mariner's hospital and a summer camp could transform into a state-of-the-art museum and community gathering place, thank you. Whether you live on Martha's Vineyard year-round, come in the summer, visit on a day trip, or simply supported us from afar, it is our greatest joy to see the project complete and people enjoying our new museum. Thank you for breathing life into this magnificent building.
What I really love is the ability for the objects in the collection and the exhibits to sort of allow people to take a peek into the past, or for the past to come alive for them. And because this view looking out over the lagoon is so extraordinary, and it's rooted in some really interesting parts of history, and the building itself is an interesting part of Vineyard Haven's history. It allows for us to sort of transition between an exhibit and the space you're standing in and the body of water that you're looking out into. And so one exhibit we have is on the history of this site, and we're looking to expand that so that people will be able to really get a sense of how the land around and the water around has shaped the history of this island and how it's affected this place, this particular site. And there's no better way to do that than to just look out the window. That's a really beautiful part of an exhibit experience.
When kids come here to look at objects, they come in the front, and you can tell right away by the look on their face that they're sensing this is a special place. They see the light, they see the height, they see how spaces open up into each other, they see the staircase, and they see the floors. So already I feel like they feel like it's special, and by extension that they're special. But it's not too special, it's not intimidating, it's not precious. And I actually think a lot of that has to do with the floors. As we guide them in from the front into the classroom where the objects are, where they're going to be working, they notice the floors. And everybody loves an old wooden floor. Everybody's walked on a beautiful old warm wooden floor. And we know this because often they'll just come in and sit right down on the floor or lie down on the floor, even though there's chairs and tables set up. So it feels very, very, very warm and very special. So all of this combination of feeling special and feeling really welcoming elevates the learning and makes for a memorable learning experience. When they're in the classroom, they've got these tremendous windows all around. So it is a place of great beauty where kids and families feel special and like they belong.
It's wonderful to me because unlike a private house or a barn somewhere, this building actually tells a huge story of a portion of Martha's Vineyard's history. That history goes back in easily 8,000 or to 10,000 years. And most of that happens with ties to this site. But the building itself is a wonderful invitation to ask questions about why. Why is it here? What caused it to be here? And that takes you into all the maritime trades throughout the colonial history and early history of the United States. And once a child is in here, doesn't have to be a child of any age is in here, it's hard not to ask questions about vanity, what was her role, about all the other boats and marine paraphernalia that relate to the world around us. The wonderful thing about living on an island is you have to cross the water to get here and to get away from here. And people from here traveled all around the world and did many interesting and wonderful and probably not so wonderful things, but they moved continuously. And this museum represents a wonderful piece, this building, I should say, represents a wonderful piece of that history. That's why it's important.
In 1948, when I was 10 years old, my folks and I moved into the neighborhood here, right around the corner on the end of Hines Point. And I would come up here and play with a friend of mine whose father was a surgeon in this hospital. And that was in 1950-51. And over the years, I've seen it change from the hospital to a summer camp where I had friends. And then it stood really fallow for a number of years until the Martha's Vineyard Museum bought it. And I am so proud of what the Martha's Vineyard Museum, its staff, its volunteers, and its board members have accomplished here. It is just such a wonderful place to have for Martha's Vineyard. It really brings all people together to see their history. It's a real meeting place.
The students that I work with, and actually the majority of the students at the high school now, are newcomers, which means they've been in the United States for less than a year. So what happens is when they come here, some of them have never even been to a museum before, and it's very hard because of the language barrier to bring them to someplace like the Boston Science Museum or someplace where it's just so big and they have no connection to it. And here they hear about the vineyard, they live on the vineyard, and to have this beautiful museum now, we can bring them up here and they can walk around and they can learn.
One of the things that was most special for me about being involved in this project was just watching the community interest grow as the project grew. So when we first started doing any work up here, people would just constantly ask me, what are you guys doing up there? What's the museum doing? And then as construction actually began, it was so fascinating to see how much the community really got involved and backed us and were our biggest cheerleaders. I got to lead some of the most enjoyable hard hat tours with the island community, and they were just fascinated by all of the different historic elements that we were working so hard to preserve while also making it into a state-of-the-art museum. And that was so special to watch people really come in for the first time and see what we were actually doing. And when we finally got to the finish line, to see people's reactions come in and just burst into tears and to hug us and say, you're heroes. I would never think of myself as a hero, and I certainly don't think that my coworkers think of themselves as heroes either. But it really did move people to tears, the transformation of this building that had so much importance and so many memories for people, and now had been brought back to life again to be used as a museum.
So when I was younger, I used to go to St. Pierre summer camp, and the difference between then and now is just how beautiful the museum is now. And I appreciate that they were able to keep most of it intact, and now that it is an artifact.
Well, it's important to me. I mean, not just for my kids and my grandkids, and for us. I just feel that the island needs this focus and this incredible facility where people can come together and really look at where we've been, where we've come from, and better understand where we are now and hopefully where we're going. So I think from a historical point of view and our environmental point of view, it really is going to be a central feature in our future. And I just look forward to being a part of it.
I would say this, history is not just one word, it's two. And the most important part of it is story. And here at the Martha's Vineyard Museum is where we get to tell the stories of our past and predict what the future is going to be like. And from all indications, looking around this place, our future is going to be amazing.
The Marine Hospital is a big part of the history of the island, and people are excited and thrilled that now they get to come in and learn about it.